How is it going, guys? Welcome back to the channel, and today we've got a pretty special video. Obviously many people know the 2023 Corvette Z06 actually was officially released today by Chevy, and at least for me, the thing definitely did not disappoint at all. But before we get into this video, I did just want to remind you guys to be sure to subscribe down below. It's absolutely free, and leaving a like on this video will definitely helps me out a lot, as well as a smaller YouTuber. And again, it's absolutely free and it helps me out a lot. But anyways, diving right into this article by Car and Driver, you can see that we actually have official images from Chevy of what this new Z06 looks like, and it's basically just a almost entirely reimagined C8 Corvette. Obviously it's still a C8. It's not like radically changed, but there's so many things that are just about the body that have changed. I mean, for example, like the side vent right here, that added trim piece has kind of been extended. Obviously the big wing in the back, the big rear spoiler, the 4-exit exhaust, which is something that was found in the C7 Corvettes, and something that I'm much more happier than the kind of square exhaust tips on the regular C8 Stingrays. But probably the main thing that I want to talk about in this video is, of course, the naturally aspirated 5.5 liter flat plane crank V8 engine that is going to be found in this thing. It is the LT6. It has a red line of 8,600 RPMs, and well, as you can see by this title, it has max power of 670 horsepower, which basically makes it the highest output naturally aspirated V8 found in a production car in the entire history of automobiles, which is extremely exciting. Now, while we're on the topic of power output and another main topic of this article, basically this car is going to be naturally aspirated. There's a lot of people, and when the initial rumors of the C8 Z06 started coming out, they were wondering if it was going to be the same engine, except maybe like a twin turbo or a supercharged setup or whatever. And then once the engine was introduced for the C8R, which again is the same exact engine, everyone pretty much knew that it was going to be this naturally aspirated flat plane crank V8. But a lot of people didn't really know that it was going to be making this much amount of power, especially in the street version of the C8. So now, like I previously mentioned, it does make a peak horsepower of 670 horsepower and 460 foot-pounds of torque. And that power is going to be delivered through the same exact 8-speed dual-clutch automatic transmission found in the other C8s, the regular C8 Stingrays. Unfortunately, they're not going with a manual, but I mean, quite frankly, it makes more sense for Chevy, and it definitely keeps the cost down, I guess, to just use the same exact transmission that they're using in the base model Stingrays. And also, the production of this will start in the spring or summer of 2022, so this upcoming year. So that is why it is a 2023 production year car. And I mean, just looking at the front of this, the body lines of it, the way it's kind of accentuated in the front, and it's much more aggressive than the regular C8 Stingray. I cannot wait to see these new Z8 Z06s like in the flesh, like in real life, because I feel like this is definitely going to be a car that pictures just don't really quite do it justice. Because to most people, they might look at this and they might say, oh, it just looks like a regular C8 with maybe like a body kit or an added front splitter and a larger rear spoiler. But from all the videos and all the research that I've seen of kind of the people who've gotten like exclusive footage actually up close and personal to the C8 Z06, they said the rear hips of it, the rear fenders, are just a lot more wider than the base model Stingray. And also the front is definitely a lot more wider as well. And a lot of the added trim is going to be carbon fiber. You're going to have the carbon fiber wheels. Also the carbon fiber interior, which is something else we will touch on a little bit later. But going through just Car and Driver's gallery that they have of it, which I'm assuming all of these pictures are just right from Chevy themselves. Again, you can tell like it looks so amazing. Here's the carbon fiber wheels I just mentioned, and you can tell that this is actually the front because you see the 275 by 30 by 20s. Because in the rear, I believe it's going to have 325 by whatever by 21s. I think it's a 21-inch wheel in the back, and 325 millimeter wide tires, so very wide tires in the rear. And here's another little close-up shot of the wheels wrapped in it looks like Michelin tires. And then here you can see a little bit more of the carbon fiber trim with the side mirror right there. And then of course the beautiful quad tip center exit exhaust. Now another really quick fact about these new tips is that they're actually designed in a way that they basically kind of rebound some of the sound to actually go into the cabin of the vehicle, which is something that's just so crazy and a lot of people don't think about. Now moving on to the interior of this car, this is one thing that I feel like is going to be overlooked with a lot of people, but me personally, when I did the review on a 2020 regular base model Stingray, and that is up on the channel if you haven't checked that out, I'll leave a link at the top of the video right now. But basically when I did the review, you know, I love the car. It was an amazing experience driving basically what was essentially a push rod cam, a small block Chevy small block that is basically behind you. And then going into the interior and the actual how it felt when I was sitting in it and driving it, the seats felt fantastic. I loved this center separation that you get right here, which is another thing that was a huge thing that I loved when I was driving the C7s that I've reviewed on the channel. But one thing that I actually kind of complained about with the C8 interior is that even though it was an amazing design, it almost felt like the material that they actually made the interior with was on the cheaper end. Now I know that may seem weird because the seats and I think the steering wheel are like all leather, but a lot of this stuff, which is all carbon fiber for the Z06, but a lot of this stuff in the base model Stingray is basically just hard plastic. And I mean, for an interior design the way that it is, it just felt like it could be made with a little bit more expensive material. Now I do know that Chevy did that on purpose because they were trying to keep the cost of production down, but that's something that I feel like a lot of people are going to overlook with the Z06 because they're so infatuated with the new flat plane crank engine that they're going to miss out on, you know, Chevy actually investing a lot, or maybe not a lot, but an appropriate amount into you know, upgrading this interior with the carbon fiber. And also you can see what looks to be like the Alcantara sides on the steering wheel here, and probably Alcantara seats as well instead of just regular leather. Now like I have previously mentioned, this is going to be the basically to date it's going to be the highest output naturally aspirated V8 found in a production car, and it slightly beats out second place, which is the 622 horsepower 6.2 liter naturally aspirated V8 that is found in the 2014 Mercedes-Benz SLS AMG Black Series. Now on top of that, this article does go on to compare this new Z06 to the new Porsche 911 GT3s, which are another naturally aspirated supercar. Basically it's just talking about how, you know, in the time of everything being boosted, everything either having a turbocharger or a supercharger, and a lot of new modern, you know, supercars being hybrids, you know, like we see with one of the most notable supercars that just immediately comes to my mind is the Acura NSX, how it's a twin turbo V6, so you have the boost already, so it's kind of taking away from some of that naturally aspirated purity. But on top of that, there's also an electric hybrid system. So although the, you know, technology and the developments that are going into these supercars are really astonishing on an engineering aspect, as far as like actually driving it is concerned, and I can't agree with this article anymore, but when you're driving like a naturally aspirated vehicle, there's no lag, there's no, you know, weird things that occur that you get with sometimes even like a belt-driven supercharger, whereas a belt-driven supercharger is much more instantaneous compared to a turbocharger. Still, like sometimes the superchargers, sometimes, you know, you might not get the same exact amount of boost on every single pull, and it's just a little bit more, I guess, unreliable when it comes to performance. Now, mind you, I'm not saying that, you know, boosting something's a bad thing. Trust me, I'm not saying that at all. But what I am saying is that there definitely is something very special about just a naturally aspirated power plant. And they do, of course, mention this multiple times in this article. One thing that definitely comes to my mind is the fact that the C7 Z06s, which is another Corvette that I've reviewed on my channel, I'll leave the link to that on top of the video right now too. but a lot of the Corvette enthusiasts were a little bit upset with Chevy when they actually decided to basically, for the C7 Z06s, they just, you know, kind of threw a blower on, I'm pretty sure which was the same exact engine in the C7 Stingrays. Now I say that because the C6 Z06, the 427 cubic inch or 7-liter LS7 powered C6 Z06 was such an amazing machine. I mean, it was a very old school, big, you know, muscle, high horsepower, and naturally aspirated V8 that a lot of people really loved. And you combine that with the manual transmission in the C6 Z06s, and it was just an absolute blast to drive. Now, with that being said, a lot of people are really pumped that this Z06 is going to be naturally aspirated, because it's basically going back to, again, how that C6 Z06 was. And with Chevy already announcing that they have plans for the Zorro, which is essentially going to be a 1,000 horsepower production C8 Corvette that's coming in, I believe, 2024 or 2025. A lot of people wanted a, you know, high output, naturally aspirated kind of option, because I can almost guarantee you that the Zorro, the C8 Zorro, when it eventually comes out, is not going to be naturally aspirated at all. Now, before we actually end today's video, I did just want to kind of show you guys a video that Chevy just came out with like an hour ago. It's basically just a 1-minute kind of teaser video of the new Z06. It's not the full like 42-minute reveal that they posted earlier today. Like always, I will leave a link to all these videos and articles down in the description below, but I mainly just want to show this to you guys so you guys actually have a sense of how this new Z06 is actually going to sound.
We respect our past, but we are always moving forward.
Also, it looks like right there, they're going to have, there was a button with a Z on it. It's probably just a sport mode or track mode or something like that, but definitely don't, I guess, overlook that as well.
The rawness of the flat plane crane. This is crazy.
Sounds so amazing.
Real noise. This is what I'm going to be in right here.
Fundamentally a race car that you can drive on the road.
The highest horsepower, naturally aspirated V8 in automotive history.
Our whole goal is to capture that thrill of the drive.
So yeah, I mean, as you guys can tell, this thing is going to just sound so amazing on the road. Personally, again, when I was driving the base Stingray, the C8, I believe the base Stingray is only revved to like 6,600 RPMs. I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure it's in the 6,000 RPM range. So having a C8 that's going to rev all the way up to, you know, 8,600 RPMs, it's going to be just absolutely awesome when it actually hits the roads. But anyways, guys, that's pretty much it. Again, like always, I will leave all these links down in the description below, so you guys definitely should go check this out for yourself. And also down in the comments below, let me know what you guys think of this new C8 Z06, whether you're even more excited for it now that you've actually seen it, or, you know, whether you're even like a little bit disappointed about the reveal. But like always, thank you for all the support, and I'll see you guys in the next one.